So we're going to start on our backs in constructive rest. Notice your footprints. The weight of your hips, your rib cage. Shoulders, back of head, and anything else that's touching down. And imagine you could allow yourself to sink in to those touch points a little deeper on your exhales. Bring your hands to rest on low belly. And move your breath low to move your hands as you inhale. And just as much as your lower belly lifts and spreads on your inhale, could you imagine that your lower back drops down and spreads wide as well? So you're moving just as big in both directions. And once that feels natural to you, maybe bring your hands up to your rib cage. You can bring knuckles to the sides of the ribs or just kind of fold the sides of the ribs. And can you also feel for spreading the rib cage wide as you inhale? Even as low back and low belly still lift and broaden. And once that starts to feel natural, sometimes it takes your rib cage a couple of breaths to get it, to be able to really feel for moving out wide, especially if your normal pattern of breathing is up in the chest or just in the belly. Once that feels like things are making sense, you can bring your hands back down. Breathing in and out through the nose if that works for you this morning. And you might start to play with a little ujjayi breath. So closing off the back of the throat, which will help to slow the breath down and give it that texture, that sound that just gives you something else to pay attention to. Because at the heart of our yoga practice, even though we're doing all this physical stuff this morning, the heart of this practice is a practice of attention. And so why not make it easier on yourself, giving the breath a little bit of extra to pay attention to. Go ahead and cross your right ankle over your left thigh. And you might gently press the right thigh away from you. Maybe rock a little bit from side to side, coming to the inner and outer edges of that left foot. And then we'll draw the left leg in. Holding back at 5, front of shin, or you can prop your foot up on a wall. And you're still breathing that nice three-dimensional breath. Maybe rock it a little bit from side to side. And then we'll release the left foot down and just tip the whole thing over to the left so your right foot comes down. You can hold that right ankle with your left hand and then just reach your right arm out. And your outer right hip and right thigh kind of peel away from you, opening up this space along right waist, right side body. And there could be a tendency to come into like a really big arch here with the back, but could you let your back bottom ribs just drop down even as your thigh peels open? Bring that all back to center. And we'll come back to constructive rest, feet on the floor, arms by your sides. Let's just take a couple of pelvic tilts here. So on the inhale, you're going to tip the pelvis forward, your lower back will arch off the floor. And then on the exhale, you're going to tilt the pelvis back and your lower back will firm down. So the forward tilt, almost like cow pose when you're in tabletop. The back tilt like your cat. And then we'll cross the left ankle over the right thigh. And you can press that left thigh away from you. Maybe rock a little bit. And then we'll bring right leg in, holding shin, thigh, propping up the foot. How does it feel to breathe here? And so how does it feel physically? You can notice where the breath seems to fill you up. And then how does it feel just on your overall system to intentionally breathe nice and slow? And bring the right foot down and tip everything over. You can peel that left hip away from you. And then you can bring that back to center and take a couple cat cows from your tabletop. Sorry, from your constructive rest, take a couple pelvic tilts. And then if you can, scoot yourself so your feet are closer to a wall or a baseboard or piece of furniture. And you're gonna press your left foot right into that wall. So you could almost push away with the foot. And then we'll hug the right knee in. And see if you can find the connection between pushing your left foot into the wall, into your couch, whatever it is. And how the more you press out, the more the rest of your spine will kind of lengthen away from that wall. You can grow taller. You can almost imagine that you're just standing up nice and tall on that left foot. And maybe you hug your right knee in a little closer. Reaching down through the inside of that right leg, go ahead and grab onto your big toe with your peace fingers of that right hand. And your right leg does not need to straighten, but we're going to start to press it up towards the ceiling. So you're pushing your hand. You can even give that leg a little bit of resistance with your hand. So pull back. Even as your foot presses up and away, pull back. So the back of that leg will be nice and awake. And then remember what it feels like to stand tall on your left foot. You still feel that connection to the wall? Now you can always use a strap for this, but we can get kind of more attached to the leg being straight when we're using the strap. This is a nice way to kind of play around with having that thigh bone a little closer to you, having the hip more closed, more flexed, and then can you straighten the leg any amount? And then maybe take it from side to side a bit. And you're still breathing, right? Nice and slow. Because when we start to come up against like the end of our range of motion, what stops us isn't, just that the muscle's too short, although sometimes things can get kind of locked in one position. But more often than not, what stops us is the body's like, what is this new territory that we're going into? This is unknown and a little bit scary. And so if we can breathe in a way that reminds the system that we're safe, maybe we can play around with that edge a bit more. Take it as far out to the right as you can. Still pressing out through that left foot. It's going to help to keep your left hip a little heavier on the floor. And then you can cross it to the left. And you can just bend the knee. We're going to take a twist. You can even bend both knees if you like. The right arm up and out. Take both arms out, just reaching out in a T. And then remember your hands on your belly. Remember your hands on your rib cage. And get that breath moving down and out. follow your next breath to the bottom of your exhale. And then with your inhale, unwind. Come back to constructive rest. Notice how it feels. And then we'll do the other side. So you're going to connect your right foot to the wall, the baseboard, the furniture, and you're going to hug your left knee in. Now stand tall on that right leg. So as if you were in a standing balance pose here, you can push the wall away to grow your spine tall in the other direction. And then maybe reach down for the big toe. It might be enough just to hold the big toe. Like this might be asking a lot of your hip, of your hamstrings, but maybe you start to extend that foot up to the ceiling. Any amount, little bit at a time, keeping that breath nice and steady. So the breath is this continuous conversation with your own nervous system. Your nervous system is just asking, am I safe? And then your breath is responding. Maybe play around with moving a little left, a little right. Maybe there's a little internal and external rotation on the thigh bone. How does it feel to move these legs this morning? And then take it over to the left. And as much as you're trying to grow that left leg out to the left, your right leg is still reaching long along the floor. And you just notice what you're paying attention to. Sometimes I'm surprised at how active my mind can be first thing in the morning. And so it's this constant exercise of like, oh, I'm not here, I'm not present, and I'm going to redirect my attention back to something that's happening right now. So the rhythm of the breathing, the sensations in the physical body, feeling of your weight on the ground. I'm going to bring that leg back through center and we'll take it into a twist. So you can stack the knees, you can wrap the left leg around the right. You could keep the legs straight if you'd like. Bring that left knee to the floor and then take the arms out wide and start to breathe, filling up your abdomen, feeling your rib cage expand in all directions. And at any point in practice this morning, we might be moving on and you might not be quite ready to yet. So something's feeling particularly interesting or you just need a little more time, just feel free to go at your own pace. Watch your breath. And at the bottom of your next exhale, you'll start to unwind out of this twist. Coming back to constructive rest. You can hug the knees in, give them a little squeeze. Release the feet down, stack the hands over the heart, and if there's an intention or a dedication that you'd like to set for practice, bring that to mind now. And then roll over to either side and come up to tabletop. And we're going to tuck the toes under. Can reach back and peel the toes open a little wider. I know for me, my pinky always kind of gets, it's like hiding behind the other toe. And then reach back through the heels. You can keep your hands right on the ground. We're just going to lift the knees and drop the heels towards the floor. And then we'll roll back to bring the knees to the floor. And you can start to sync this up with your breathing. So maybe the inhale lifts the knees up. Feel the weight of the heels nice and heavy. Some of you might just plant your heels right down on the ground. And then the exhale can bring the knees back to the floor. The next time the knees stay down, keep them down. Just reach back. Give the sole of one of your feet a little massage. Full arch. You can feel the tension in the muscles and the tendons here in this shape. Give them a couple of smacks and do the other side. So the toes tucked under, just massaging the length of the arch of your foot. You can feel that muscle running right up to the big toe, nice and strong. A couple of smacks. And then let's come into downward facing dog. Rooting down through all the knuckles. You can almost imagine that you had roots that just kind of split out from the webbing of your hands and wrap around the earth in all directions. Heels reaching towards the floor. They might not ever get there. And you feel the length of the spine all the way up and out through the hips. The groins pull you up and back. Inhale to take your right leg back and up. Go ahead, just bend the knee and open up the hip, exploring the front of that hip, the low belly. And then we're going to step it forward into a lunge. You can release the back knee down. We're going to inhale to pull the chest forward and lift it up, bending the right knee more. You can always have your hands on blocks here if the floor is too far away. And then exhale, the hips will lift up and back like they're going back to downward facing dog, taking that right leg towards straight. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, come back to your lunge. We're going to exhale and Hold here. Toes spread nice and wide. Take the left arm up. You're going to make a big circle around the front to bring it back down to the left. Inhale, the right arm is going to come up, finding a little side bend. So we're just going to make big half circles with the hands as we move from side to side. And the next time the left hand comes down, keep it down. And take your right foot out a little wider. We're just going to tap that right elbow down towards the inside of the right foot. It might not ever touch the floor. And then we'll inhale, open out to the right. Exhale, tap it down. Inhale, open out to the right. And we'll do that one more time. Exhale. Inhale. You can stay here in this kind of open, twisted lunge, reaching back through the right arm. Maybe bend the left foot, bend the left knee, grab the foot. Foot can come in, you can stay more upright. You can come down onto your forearm. Just kind of playing around with the range of motion in that left hip. So remember, when you get that stretch response or when it starts to feel like, ooh, I don't know, this is too much, see if you back out a little bit. You can take a couple of steady breaths and then start exploring again, maintaining those steady breaths and see if anything changes. I mean, depending on the way that your bones fit together, nothing might change, but see how your body responds when you're moving from that place of intentional breathing versus just trying to yank things around. You can release the foot if you have it. And then keeping your lunge, so your right foot is still forward, your left foot is still straight back. We're just going to walk the hands over to the left. And then you're going to crawl that right hand any amount to the left. So your legs are still in your lunge, still kind of facing forward. And you're just taking your body off to the side here. So just exploring that outer right hip, right waist, right low back. And then you're going to turn your left toes, your back toes, 90 degrees behind you. So instead of pointing straight back at the mat, pointing to what used to be your right side. Walk your hands in a bit, and then you're going to bend your right knee and then come out of that a little bit. So we're just kind of exploring the inner left thigh. So your knee will stay put, and we'll just kind of side to side with the hips. Maybe you stay with that right knee bent and we just breathe into your left thigh. It's not a range of motion that most of us do a lot of days, so it should be no surprise if you're not the most comfortable here, if it feels like, something new. And then we'll walk it back to our lunge. And we'll press back into downward facing dog. Oh, no, wait, sorry. Step your right foot back again. We're back in our lunge. We're going to walk to the right. Turn your right toes straight to the right. You're going to come to the outside edge of that left leg and foot. So we're in this kind of lounging lunge. Breathing into your outer left hip, waist, all the way down the leg. And then walk yourself back to center, and we'll come back to downward facing dog. I feel like my brain is slowly coming back to normal. I feel like the functioning was just so bad during the pandemic in terms of memory and word retrieval and all of that, just from the stress. Things are slowly working again, but not totally. Notice the difference between your legs, your hips. And then we'll inhale, take the left leg back and up. You can bend the knee and open the hip. Step forward into your lunge. Do the same thing on the other side. So inhaling, lift and open the chest, bending that left knee more. And then exhaling, the hips come back, and we work towards a straight left leg. Next time you're back in your lunge, you're going to stay here. We're going to sweep that right arm to the left and up, making a big half circle, opening up into a side bend. And then exhale, sweep it back around to the right. The left arm will sweep to the right and up. And exhale back to center. Do that 2 more times. Just playing around with how big your reach can be. How that feels all the way down into the hips, into the back. And the next time you're leaning on your right hand, stay there. You can take the left foot out a little wider. And we'll exhale to bring the left elbow towards the inside of that left foot. Maybe it taps the mat. Inhale, open it up. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, open it up. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, open. And then stay open. You could be here. Feeling for reaching back. This little kind of twisted, open lunge. Maybe you find the back foot. And then right back to your breath, give it your attention. Remembering breath in low belly, breath in side ribs. And then back to your lunge. Left foot forward, right foot straight back. Your legs are going to stay there, and you're going to walk over to the right. And then it'll be the left arm that crawls right off the right side of your mat. Your left knee is still in the lunge, knee over ankle. Can you feel your breath move into the back of left waist? And then walk the hands back under the shoulders, and we'll turn the right foot 90 degrees. And we'll bend the left knee. And then back out of that stretch. So we're just kind of playing around with exploring the inside edge of that right thigh, right groin. Always pad the knee up here if this is uncomfortable on the knee. Maybe you stay in the stretch. How are you breathing? And then we're going to walk the hands back to center, turning the right toes back. Turn the left toes to the left. And you're going to come down onto your right hip, outer edge of the right foot. You can just kind of hug that left knee, let your right side sink down. Hip, the rib cage. And then walk it back. And we'll come into downward facing dog. And notice how things feel. A nice long breath in. Reaching a little longer through the arms, feel the hips lift up and back. And then as you exhale, bend the knees and walk the feet up to the hands. Inhaling to lengthen your spine forward. And then exhale, fold down. Toes spread wide. Weight through the heels and the balls of the feet. And even if your knees are very bent, your feet are pushing into the floor in a way that floats the hips a little higher. You can let the base of the skull hang down, maybe hold opposite elbow. And then push the floor away, lift the chest up, coming into your half lift. Hold your hips and feel for your sit bones reaching down into your heels as you stand all the way up. So your feet will be under your hip bones, your ASIS, your front hip points. Toes spread wide. You kind of lift the heels and then lift the toes, kind of rocking back and forth a couple times. And then feel your feet nice and steady on the ground. Roll the shoulders. You can even shake them out, shake the hands out. Let the arms hang down, bring your right shoulder, your right ear towards your right shoulder. Rolling the chin down in towards the chest. And then back, right ear to right shoulder, maybe chin slightly up towards the ceiling. Taking it down and around to the other side, left ear to left shoulder. Chin to chest. Left ear to left shoulder, and then maybe open the throat a little towards the ceiling. And then chin to the chest, and we'll bring the head back up. Set your gaze at one point that's not moving. So in yoga, we call that your drishti, your gaze point, and that works just like your ujjayi breathing. It gives you something to pay attention to. Your eyes can be soft when you're looking at that spot like you love it. Or you can close your eyes. So you feel your feet on the ground. Feel for pushing into the feet to stand nice and tall. We already got a sense of that when we were pushing into the floor or the furniture. We were lying on our backs. So you can feel the response of pressing the floor away. And the crown of the head floats a little higher. Feeling down into your heels. Imagine you could start to grow a pair of roots right off the front edges of your heels. So right where the heel and the arch come together. And you're going to grow those roots all the way down past your mat, past your floor, into the earth. And as they drop down, they're going to move slightly underneath you into the earth behind you. And as you imagine those two roots, how do you feel? And then we're going to grow a pair of roots off the back edges of the heels. Piercing right down through your floor into the earth. And those roots are going to move down and slightly forward in front of you. And as you feel into those roots, how does your body respond? And then imagine a set of roots dropping from the inner edges of your heels, right down from behind your inner ankles, down through the inner heels, all the way into the floor. And then they burrow slightly back and diagonally behind you. And as you imagine those roots, how does your body respond? Is there any difference in your breath? And then lastly, we'll imagine a set of roots dropping down from your outer heels, diving deep into the earth and then rooting in towards each other. And as you feel into those roots, how does your body respond? Can you imagine all of them at once? And then inhale, lift your arms up. Upward arms, Urdhva Hastasana. Like you're holding a beach ball overhead and you're going to try to lift it even higher as your feet root down. Maybe turn your gaze up. Maybe thinking about reaching that ball back behind you, finding a bit of a back bend. And the roots from the fronts of the heels might help keep you more stable as you move into that back bend, feeling down into the roots, diving down off the front of the heels and then underneath you. And then the arms come back up and down. And take the feet out a little wider. Reach up and hold on to your right wrist. Inhaling to reach nice and high, and then we'll side bend a bit so that you start to lose some of the grounding of that right heel. And then you think about resetting those roots, getting that right heel back to the floor, feeling all that length dropping down off the back of right rib cage all the way into the heel. We'll breathe here. And as you side bend off to the left, it might be helpful to feel into that outer right root that drops down off the outer right heel and burrows underneath you to the left. And then come back up to center. Hold the left wrist, reach up. As if you're unplanting that left heel as you reach off to the right. And then you'll reset the heel. Feel those roots grow again, especially that outer left root down and underneath you. And feeling into that root, does that help you side bend with any more stability? And we'll inhale and come back to center. Take your legs out wide. I'm going to set up for triangle pose, Trikonasana. So your back toes will turn in slightly. Front toes face forward, whatever side you chose. And then we'll inhale and take that front arm forward, that front arm up. Hips shift back and you reach forward and down. Peel your chest open. And then your arm reaches up, just an extension of your chest. And you feel all that length through your spine. And then imagine your roots. Pick any one. What can you pay attention to that helps keep you more stable? Maybe it's the roots, maybe it's the sensation of the floor holding your feet. Maybe it's the rhythm of your breathing. And we're going to follow this breath down to the bottom of the next exhale. Press through the feet. And the inhale will stand you up. And then we'll just change sides. Inhaling, arm up. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Reach forward and down, maybe onto a block, maybe onto the floor, maybe onto your foot. And then the chest peels open. And the arm is an extension of the chest. Is there a way to root through your back feet that can help grow your spine a little longer? Bring your arms out like a T. So you're spreading evenly across both collarbones. That's it, that's it. And the right arm doesn't have to move any further back behind you. We're just opening up through the chest. And as you feel the next exhale, empty all the way out. Press down into your feet. And then the inhale will stand you up. Change sides. This time we'll inhale the other arm up. So opposite arm to that front leg, since we all started on different sides. So if your right leg is forward, left arm is up. Hips facing that front leg, and we'll hinge forward, pushing off the back foot. See if you can feel the roots of that back foot as you fold down. And maybe the front hand comes onto a block. Maybe it comes onto your foot, tented fingers. Peel the chest open in a twist. And then the arm comes up. And again, where are your roots? We know that our body responds to our own imagination, because when we're imagining stressful scenarios, we feel that stress response. And so using the imagination, using this imagery is so wonderful as a way to communicate with your nervous system, not to ramp it up, but to keep it calm, to keep it grounded. So you can feel those imaginary roots. And there's a real sense of response in the physical body. Follow your breath to the bottom of the exhale. And then the inhale will lift you up. Turn it all the way around, and we'll take the other side. Inhale. And hinge forward, exhale. Maybe before you twist, feel down into the feet. Are any of those roots helpful in keeping you grounded and keeping you anchored? And then the chest peels open, the arm comes up. And we start to breathe. And you're listening to all the sensation that arises as part of that conversation that you're having with your nervous system. Okay. Okay, you're a little uncomfortable here. Why are you gripping so hard? And it doesn't have to be actual words if that doesn't feel natural for you. Maybe it's just refocusing on the breath. Maybe you imagine moving your breath down into the areas that feel hurt, that feel scared, that feel tight. Follow your breath to that quiet place at the bottom of your exhale. And then inhale, lift yourself up. We'll parallel the inside edges of the feet. Hold the hips. Just pause for a moment here. You can shift the hips from side to side. Maybe you play with kind of tucking and untucking the pelvis here. Maybe some circles with the hips. Seeing what feels comfortable and what feels like new territory. And then find your roots. Feel the front roots of the heels as you lift and open up through the chest. Those roots are dropping down and then back underneath you. Maybe you find a little bit of a back bend. And then start to hinge at the hips, shifting that imagination into the back roots of the heels as you fold down. The hands can come down. Inhale, lengthen your spine forward. You're welcome to stay right here. Maybe fold down, let the head hang. You have solid roots and the feet are actively pressing the ground. Your legs are reaching longer on purpose. And then inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, hold your hips. And then stand up as you inhale. And hop your feet together. All right, stand up nice and tall. Feel your feet. And it's almost like you got too big for the room, like Alice in Wonderland, and the ceiling is right at the crown of your head. And the more you push your feet down, the more you can kind of spread the floor and the ceiling away. So you're nice and tall. Feeling the roots of that right foot. Gaze at one spot. And we'll hold the knee. Sorry, hold the left knee. So you feel the roots of your right foot, holding your left knee. And this might be plenty. Plenty of balance. You can feel all those roots keeping you tethered. Gaze at one spot. Maybe you reach down and hold the big toe. And this could be plenty. This might be new, kind of fun. How do I balance holding my foot? Any amount. Press that foot away from you. And just like we did when we were on our backs, your hand is acting as some resistance here. So you're lifting your foot up and pulling it back even as your foot presses forward. Nice. Some of you guys have never done this holding your foot. It's awesome. Okay, gaze at one spot. You take it out to the right, any amount. To the left, any amount. And as you reach out to the left, the foot is still pushing into the hand. The hand is pulling back into the foot. That's going to help keep you steady. Creates this like static contraction. And then your outer left hip rolls a bit towards the floor, keeping that left waist open. Maybe the arm comes up for balance. Good. Bring it back to center. Good, now lift, lift, lift the foot, and you're gonna keep it there, no hands. Maybe hold your hips. Take another breath, and then release. And then shake it out. Woo, shake it all out. All right. Nice work. Good job. We're gonna do the other side. So standing on your left foot now. Before you even go anywhere, feel your roots. Imagine pressing the floor and the ceiling apart with your body, with your skeleton growing nice and long. And then from that nice, tall, stable place, hold the knee. And this is requiring a lot, just holding the knee like this. So you could stay right here. Gaze at one spot, like you love it. Reach down for the big toe. This might be plenty. Remember, we're doing all these things to capture our attention. And so this might be enough. Maybe you work that leg out in front of you. Foot's going to press forward and down as your hand resists that. That's going to keep the back of that leg nice and awake. That standing leg, that left leg is still pushing the floor away. And then any amount, maybe you open up. The outer right hip is going to roll towards the floor. That standing leg is still pushing the floor away. Maybe your arm comes out for balance. Maybe you hold a wall. Are you still breathing? Okay. And then come back to center. With your hand, lift your foot a little higher and then see if you can keep it there. Hold your hips. And then release. Shake it out. Okay. Nice work, you guys. Inhale, take your arms up. Exhale, fold all the way down. Long spine, inhale. Step back to plank, exhale. Take a breath in your plank, and then exhale, lower all the way down. Bend your knees, windshield wiper your feet from side to side. Sometimes come up into Sphinx pose, elbows under the shoulders, forearms parallel. Root down through the knuckles, press down through the elbows, pull the heart forward. Lower down. Forehead to the mat, arms down by your sides. Inhale, lift everything up for locust pose. Legs lift, arms lift, chest lifts, armpits. Good. So feel the back bend of your spine. You're going to keep that. Just bring your hands under your shoulders and then tip it back. Coming into your cobra. Let the shoulders come up by the ears. Take them back and then take them down. Legs are reaching long behind you. You feel the roots of your feet rooting into the bottom of the floor behind you. Or sorry, the bottom of the wall behind you. And you're still pulling your heart forward just as much as you're kind of pushing to lift up. There's a little bit of a pull. That's going to help keep your lower back a little longer. And then lower down. And we'll press up through tabletop and press back to child's pose. Press up to a seat. Extend the left leg out. Bring that right foot to the inside of the left leg. It could be down by the ankle. It could be closer in towards the pelvis. You can pop this knee up. And then just like we set roots through the heels when we were standing, your sit bones are now your heels. So feel the same roots, but now they're coming out of your pelvis. If it's hard to sit upright here, you can always prop your hips up with a blanket or a bolster. I'm going to bring that left hand down along the inside of the left leg. Inhale the right arm up, and then we'll side bend. Feel that little root sliding down off the outer edge of that right sit bone, burrowing underneath you and over to the left. Does that give you the stability to maybe side bend a little more? The answer might be just no. That's okay. So we're just noticing. And hold your head with your top hand. So your hand kind of wraps around the underside of the head for support for the neck. And then peel that elbow a little bit more towards the ceiling. And then take your right arm straight up. And on your next inhale, pull yourself back up to a seat. And we'll change sides. Right leg extends, left foot comes in. Support the knee with a blanket or a pillow. Find the roots of your pelvis. And we'll inhale the left arm up. You can feel that root coming off the outer edge of your left sit bone here. So it's going down and then underneath you. And if you maintain the connection to that imaginary root as you side bend, it might make it a little easier. Are you still breathing? Maybe hold the head. Maybe peel your top elbow more towards the ceiling. And reach the left arm up. And on an inhale, come on up. And take both legs out. Again, prop up the sit bones if that feels helpful. And we'll just sit up tall, feeling into the roots of the pose. And start to fold it forward any amount. The hands on blocks. The elbows come down. One of the skills that gets much better as we continue to practice yoga is just our skill of listening. Listening to the sensations as they come up, the messages from your body. And acknowledging them. Maybe just letting your whole system know that you understand. Like, yes, this is intense, I know. And then I want you to feel into the back roots of the sit bones and feel those rooting down and forward underneath you as you pull yourself back up to a seat. And you can bring the legs back closer together. Maybe we just windshield wiper the feet a bit. And then find an easy seat. You can have your legs crossed, you can be kneeling. Sit up on a blanket if you like. Feeling like you could spread the floor and the ceiling apart with your sit bones and your crown. Feeling all the roots, especially the inner roots of the sit bones always feels like it helps me to release my breath. Relax and open your ears. And feel the expression soften off your face. That's how it feels to be in your own skin right now. Space you take up. How your system feels after all that practice. And this morning you could choose to continue to sit in meditation or lie down for Shavasana. And we'll shift from having these big, intentional, slow breaths to just watching our body breathe. What was your intention for practice? And if you didn't set one, and even if you did set one, what is something that you feel really grateful for? And how does that gratitude feel in your chest, in your belly? And for the last few moments of practice, can you direct that feeling to yourself? To your body for getting you through practice this morning, getting you through life in general. For your nervous system, for keeping you safe. Take a long breath in through the nose. And out through the mouth. If you're on your back, hug the knees, roll to either side, come on up to a seat. Then we'll bring the hands to the chest. And we'll close out our practice together by chanting one Om. Nice work, you guys. Thank you so much. If you feel good, I'm gonna stop recording so we can say hello or goodbye or